Hi dear students, welcome to Sri Jayendra Rank Zone classes and I am Amit Ajmani, your science faculty. I hope you all are doing good. So let us start up the today's session, and in this today's class we'll be discussing about the reflection of light. Now you almost have done everything regarding light. You are already aware as to what are the various fundamental things. But let us brush up these topics once again. First of all, what exactly is light? We know that light is a form of energy which enables us to see objects. Now, these light rays, they travel in the form of electromagnetic waves, right? Now, the speed of light, this is one thing that we should know. The speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now, quite importantly, rather than writing 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, I can also write it like 3 into 10 to the power 5 kilometer, but it is again per second. Now, this is a place, a point where at times the children get confused. They actually relate that meter, which is a smaller unit, has been converted into bigger unit, that is kilometer. So the second should also be converted into hour, but it is not. So you have to remember that it is either meter per second or kilometer per second only, right? Another thing, we know that light always travels in a straight line, and that is called the rectilinear propagation of light. Fine. Now, talking about various objects, there are various types of objects. One are our luminous objects, the objects which have light of their own, like sun and the bulbs and all the electric devices that we see, tube lights, CFLs, etc. And the other ones are non-luminous objects, which do not have light of their own, but they reflect the light of the luminous objects. Next type of objects are point objects, which are just like points. But if we combine many point objects, then we get an extended or a finite object, right? Next, what is an optical medium? You should know an optical medium is a substance through which light can travel without much loss in its intensity. That is known as an optical medium, and there are numerous examples of optical mediums: air, glass, diamond, water. These are all optical mediums in which light may travel, right? Now, from here onwards, we have important part. First thing, we need to know surfaces. There are two type of surfaces: rough surfaces and smooth surfaces, right? Based on these two surfaces, we see the reflection of light. First of all, we need to know what is meant by reflection of light. It is the bouncing back of light ray. It is a phenomena of change in the path of light without any change in medium. Whenever light falls on any particular surface of an object, then in that case it is sent back, it reflects back. That is called reflection of light. And we need to remember that silver is the best reflector of light. Now, if it is a smooth surface, a plain surface, then if the light ray is coming like this, we have to mark it with an arrow, the direction. It will bounce back in a particular direction. That is known as regular reflection. But if it is a rough surface, in that case, the light rays striking this rough surface, they can bounce to any particular irregular direction. That is why it is known as irregular deflection or diffused reflection, right? Now, quite importantly, we need to relate the reflection from any particular surface. This is a particular surface, right? We have just on the back, we have coated it with a layer of silver, so now it becomes a mirror. Now whenever light ray strikes a particular mirror, in that case, these are a few terms that we should be familiar with. You already know these terms. Let us try to read it. One is the incident ray. This is the incident ray which is striking this particular surface. After striking at a particular point, this particular point is known as point of incidence. It is bounced back, and this bounced back ray of light is known as the reflected ray. Right? At the point of incidence, if we draw a perpendicular, that perpendicular is known as normal. It is not called normal ray. It is just called normal. The angle between the incident ray and the normal is known as angle of incidence, which is represented as angle small I, and the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is known as angle of reflection, represented as angle small r. So incident ray, reflected ray, normal, point of incidence, angle of reflection. These are a few terms that we need to be aware of. These things we have already done. So these are quite simple things. We are just revising. We are just brushing up the concepts before doing the actual questions, right? Now, we know that there are two laws of reflection. What are those laws? Number first law states that the incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal. Once again, kindly observe, we are not using the word ray with normal. With incident, we have called incident ray. With reflected, we have called reflected ray, but not the normal ray. So the incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal all lie in the same plane at the point of incidence. This is the first law. And the second law states that angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. That is, angle I is always equal to angle R. Right? Now, we know that when the light rays coming from any particular object, when these light rays are reflected back, then the images are formed. And there are two types of images, real images and virtual images. We need to differentiate between the two. We must know the differences between these two. Real images, actually they can be taken on screen, but the virtual images can't be taken on screen. Real images are formed when the reflected light rays actually meet each other. But the virtual images are formed when the light rays are not actually meeting each other, but they just appear to meet. Fine. Real images are always inverted images, whereas virtual images are always erect images. Got it? Next is mirror. There are different types of mirror that we'll be discussing in this particular chapter. Plane mirror, spherical mirrors, which consist of concave mirrors and convex mirrors. So let us try to study them one by one. First of all, plane mirrors. Now, when an image is formed by a plane mirror, we need to remember that the images which are formed, always they show these characteristics. What? These images are always erect. These images are always virtual. They are always of the same size as that of the object. They are always laterally inverted. Lateral inversion, you must be knowing it, that it is the property of mirror to show the sideways turned images. Lateral inversion means that the left appears to be right and the right appears to be left. Right? And importantly, the image is always at the same distance from the mirror as the object. For example, if this is a plane mirror, right, and I have kept an object O at a distance of, let us say, 10 centimeter, then the image which will be formed at this particular point O dash, this image will also be 10 centimeter from the mirror. And we have used this particular word always. That means there are no exceptions to it. So a plane mirror always forms erect, virtual, same size, literally inverted image which is at the same distance from the mirror as the object. Right? Now, quite importantly, we'll be discussing about spherical mirrors. We know that spherical mirrors are further of two types, concave mirrors and convex mirrors. Now, there are certain important terms that we need to relate while discussing these concave and convex mirrors. Now, this first one is our concave mirror and the second one is the convex mirror. Right? Now, what is pole? Pole is the midpoint, the center of the mirror, whether it is concave or convex. We will relate in terms of both the mirrors, right? Pole is the center of the mirror. Now, what is principal axis? It is the line joining, passing through from the pole. The perpendicular passing from the pole is known as principal axis. You need to remember that principal is with PAL, not PLE. Next is center of curvature. This particular point denoted by this C. This is known as center of curvature. It is the center of the imaginary sphere of which this mirror was a part. Right? Now, the distance between this P, pole, and the center of curvature is called the radius of curvature. Simple as there is a radius of circle or sphere, similarly, the radius is the same. Now, when the light rays are coming to the concave mirror, after striking the concave mirror converges these light rays which meet at a particular point which is called the focus. In case of a convex mirror, when the light rays strike a convex mirror, it is a diverging mirror. It diverges the light rays in such a way that they appear to meet at a particular point which is termed as the focus. Now, the distance between the pole and the focus is known as focal length. The distance at which an object is placed from the pole of the mirror is known as object distance. The distance at which the image is formed from the pole is known as image distance. The length of the object is called the height of the object, and the length of the image is known as the height of the image. So these are all the terms that we need to be acquainted with. You already know these terms, but just try to remember because these will be used further in the chapter. Now, when we are talking about the images formed by the concave mirrors, there are certain rules regarding it. The concave mirror is known as converging mirror as it converges the light rays which strike it. Fine. Now, what are the various rules? We have got 4 rules when we talk about the image formation through concave mirrors. The first rule says that any ray of light coming parallel to the principal axis, the arrows are important, after striking a concave mirror, it will pass from the focus. The second rule is that any ray of light passing from the center of curvature after striking the mirror, it is reflected back along the same path. The third rule says that if a ray of light is passing from the focus and it strikes a concave mirror, then after reflecting back, it will become parallel to the principal axis. And the fourth rule says that if any ray of light is striking the pole of the mirror, then it will be reflected back, making the same angle as that of incident ray with the principal axis. So these are 4 rules based on which we actually form images when it comes to placing an object in front of a concave mirror. Now, we have already studied these ray diagrams. Let us try to relate. The first position is when the object is placed between pole and the focus. In that case, we will see that the image which is formed, it will be behind the mirror. This image will be virtual image, erect image, and it will be enlarged or magnified image, right? Second, placement of object. I'm not getting in detail of all these because we have already done, right? So this is just the brushing up that we are doing. Second is when the object is placed at the focus, then the image formed will be at infinity. The image formed will be real, it will be inverted, and it will be very much enlarged. The third is when the object is placed between F and C, that is the focus and the center of curvature. This is here our object is placed. In that case, the image formed will be beyond C, in front of the mirror. It will be real image, inverted image, and magnified image. Fourth position of the object, when the object is placed at center of curvature, then the image formed will be at center of curvature itself only. It will be real, inverted, and same sized image. The fifth position is when the object is placed beyond C. Here is the object which is placed beyond the center of curvature. Now we find that the image is formed between F and C. The image is real, inverted, and the image is diminished. Now, if the object is kept at infinity, that is our sixth position, then in that case, the image will be point-sized image formed at the focus. It will be real, inverted image, point-sized, very, very diminished image. So, all these ray diagrams you must practice, and the conclusion let us see in the form of this table as to, in case of a concave mirror, what were the six positions where we placed our object. It was within focus, that is between pole and focus, at focus, between focus and center of curvature, at center of curvature, beyond center of curvature, and at infinity. So these are the various positions of the object. Now, where will be the image formed? If the object is kept within focus, then the image is formed behind the mirror. What is the size of the image formed? It will be enlarged. And what is the nature of image? It will be virtual and erect. If the object is placed at focus, the image formed will be at infinity. Image will be highly enlarged. It will be real and inverted. If the object is placed between F and C, the image formed will be beyond C. It will be enlarged image, again real and inverted. If the object is kept at center of curvature, the image will be formed at center of curvature. It will be equal sized image as that of the object, real and inverted image. If the object is kept beyond C, now the image comes between F and C. It is diminished image, real and inverted. With the object kept at infinity, the image formed will be at focus. It will be highly diminished image, real and inverted. You need to remember this particular table. This is very, very important. Fine. So this is about the concave mirrors. Now let us discuss about the convex mirrors. Again, there are certain rules which are followed while we are obtaining the images formed by convex mirrors. As in the concave mirrors, there are 4 rules, but now they are a bit different because convex mirrors are diverging mirrors. Now, the rule number 1 says that if a ray of light is coming parallel to the principal axis, it will be reflected in such a way that it appears to pass from the focus. Right? Rule number 2 says that if a ray of light is passing from the center of curvature, again it will be reflected along the same path. Third rule, if a ray of light is going through the focus, then after reflection it will become parallel to the principal axis. This third rule is the opposite of first rule. And fourth, which was same as that of concave, that if a ray of light is passing from the pole, it will be reflected back, making the same angle as the incident ray was making with the principal axis. In making these ray diagrams, my dear students, you need to take care of the arrows showing the direction of these rays of light. They are quite important. So now we have got these 4 rules, based on which we'll be just seeing how image formation takes place in case of a convex mirror. Now in convex mirror, the scenario is quite simple. Why? Because wherever you place the object, anywhere between pole and infinity, you place the object anywhere in front of it, the image formed will always be behind the mirror between P and F. The image formed will be diminished, it will be virtual and erect. The second position is, if the object is placed at infinity in front of a convex mirror, then the image formed will be behind the mirror but now at focus. The image will be highly diminished and again it will be virtual and erect. So a convex mirror always forms virtual, erect and diminished images. Always. No exception whatsoever. Got it? Now we also know that apart from these ray diagrams, we have two very important formulas. First is the mirror formula, which says that 1 by f is equal to 1 by v plus 1 by u, where f is the focal length, u is the object distance and v is the image distance. So 1 by f is equal to 1 by v plus 1 by u, and it is a mirror formula applicable on all mirrors, whether it is concave or convex or plane. Next formula that we have studied is of linear magnification. Magnification can be calculated by two ways. First way is, how much is the ratio of height of the image to that of the height of the object. We just try to find out, as compared to the object, what is the height or what is the size of the image. The second way of calculating magnification is the ratio of image distance to the object distance in minus. So it is minus v by u. We know that image distance is represented by small v and object distance is represented by small u. Now, after doing these magnification and mirror formula, we need to relate the new Cartesian sign conventions. And as per those new Cartesian sign conventions, we saw that there are two things we need to take care of. New Cartesian sign convention talks about distances. All the distances are measured from the pole. If they are in front on the left hand side of the pole, they are taken to be negative, and if they are on the right hand side, that is behind the mirror, they are taken to be positive. Second thing is about the heights. New Cartesian system states that anything above the principal axis is taken to be positive and anything below the principal axis is taken to be negative. So based on these new Cartesian, there are four things that we need to relate. Number one, if the these are very important things. If the magnification has a plus sign, it simply means that the image is virtual and erect. If the magnification has a minus sign, then in that case, we can readily relate that the image is real and inverted. These are depending upon the plus and minus signs of the magnification. Very importantly, if the value of magnification is greater than 1, that means the image is bigger than the object. It is a magnified, it is an enlarged image. But if the magnification is exactly 1, then it means that the image is of the same size as that of the object. And if the magnification is less than 1, that means the image is diminished. It is smaller than that of the object. So these are a few concepts which you need to know within this particular topic, that is reflection of light. Once you are through with it, now you are all set to do the actual questions which may be asked, and in fact which have been asked from this particular topic of light. Let us see all these questions. Just try to relate all the options. Just try to focus on your whatever is given in the question. Try to differentiate between the various options, and then very sure way you are going to put your mark. Let us see the various questions that have been asked in various years from this topic. What are they? First question. The speed of light in vacuum is. Now, see. Here we have got 3 into 10 to the power 5 kilometer per hour. This hour is wrong. Right? Here it is 3 into 10 to the power 8, which is correct, but it is not kilometer per hour. In this option we have got 3 into 10 to the power 5 per second is okay, but meter is not okay, because if it would have been kilometer, this would have been a correct option. But this is our actual answer, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So I'll put a mark that this is the correct answer. We have to relate the difference between all the options. Now this second question, this is also very important. You need to relate the language. Do not jump to the conclusion. Do not jump to the conclusion fast. Try to relate the language, what exactly the examiner is giving to us. See, it is a perfect example. A ray of light is falling incident on a surface at an angle of 40 degrees. The angle of reflection will be, is it 90, is it 50, is it 40, is it 180? The first option that goes in the mind is 40 degree, which is wrong. Sir, what are you saying? How can it be wrong? We know that laws of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So if the angle of incidence is 40 degree, angle of reflection should also be 40 degree, no? No. Why? Because who told you that the angle of incidence is 40 degrees? Nobody. You actually misunderstood the language. You did not observe the language. Try to relate the question again. A ray of light is falling incident on a surface. This is a surface and a ray of light is falling incident on the surface, making an angle of 40 degrees. So 40 degrees is actually the angle of the light ray with the surface. It is not the angle of incidence, because what is angle of incidence? Angle of incidence is the angle between the incident ray and the normal. So first of all, at this point of incidence O, we will draw a normal. So this will now be angle of incidence, which will be 50 degrees. So now something clicking in your mind. So what should be the answer now? It is 50 degrees, because when this light ray will be reflected back, the angle of reflection will be equal to the angle of incidence, which will be 50 degrees. So do not be casual while giving your answers. Do not be overconfident. Do not be in a hurry. Try to relate the language. These are the NTSC questions you are attempting. So there may be some tricks involved. There may be some confusion being created. There may be some kind of mess around with the playing around with the language. And this is what we need to observe. This is quite important thing that we need to go into the actual depth of the question. Then only we'll be able to score in that. Otherwise, we know the answer, but still, because we are not relating the language of the question, we are going to lose our marks. Okay. Next question. Now, an object is placed at a distance of 20 centimeter from a plane mirror. Do not jump to the conclusions after reading the question. Try to focus the language. The object is placed at a distance of 20 centimeter from a plane mirror. How far from the object is the image formed? Now, this is based on the property of plane mirror. If the object is as 20 centimeter, the image will be equidistant. That will be 20 centimeter. Now, the image is at a distance of 20 centimeter from the mirror. What exactly is given in the question? How far from the object is the image formed? If we try to relate, object is placed here, image is formed here. So now the answer will be 40 centimeters. Got it? Because it is not being asked how far from the mirror is the image formed. If it would have been the mirror, the answer would have been 20 centimeter. But he is asking how far from the object image is formed. It will be 40 centimeter. Right? Now, next question. Parabolic mirrors. Now, parabolic mirrors are used in reflecting telescopes. Now, students, there are certain times when you actually practice these type of questions. Now, there are three things that must be kept in mind. There are three types of questions. First type of questions that we already know the answer. We mark the answer, we check the answer, we get happy that we were right. Second is those questions in which actually we knew the answer, but because of certain casual error, because of certain reasons, we marked it incorrect. So once we checked the answer, we saw that our answer is incorrect and this is the correct answer which we already knew. So now it will be like the reaction will be, oh shit, I didn't actually. Oh my god, I knew the answer but I put it wrong. Okay. So we will correct our mistakes. Now this is a third type of question in which we were blank. If there is any question that we never heard of till now, that we never learned till now, that we never encountered till now, so it simply means while practicing that now I have to learn, I have to keep it in mind. Parabolic mirrors we didn't discuss in the initial part, in the initial discussion. So we missed that thing because it was not there. But now if it has been asked in the question, what are parabolic mirrors used in? So we saw that the answer is reflecting telescopes. From now onwards, I need to remember it. That parabolic mirrors are used in reflecting telescopes. Simple. Got it? Let's come to the next type of question. An object of size 4 centimeter placed perpendicular to the principal axis of a concave mirror, right? So this is a concave mirror if I am taking, and this is a particular object which is placed in front of a concave mirror. The distance of the object from the mirror equals the radius of curvature. That means the object is kept at C. And when the object is kept at C, where will be the image formed? At C. What type of image is getting formed? Same sized. And this is what he is asking. The size of the image will be, it will be a same sized object image. So that is why if the object size is 4 centimeter, the image size will also be 4 centimeter, which is our correct answer. Why? Because of this particular line that this object is kept at a distance equal to radius of curvature, which comes out to be C. That is the center of curvature. Got it? Let's come to the next question. An object is placed at a distance of 30 centimeter from a convex mirror of focal length 15 centimeter. Now, object distance is given to us, right? Focal length F is given to us. The image formed, we have to calculate the image distance, that is we have to calculate V. So we will just apply the mirror formula. Mirror formula is 1 by F is equal to 1 by V plus 1 by U. Here we have to remember that sign conventions. When we are talking about convex mirrors, in that case the focal length of convex mirror is taken to be positive. Object distance is always taken to be negative. So putting the values of F and U as per these sign conventions, we will just calculate the answer, which will be the C option. You need to calculate and counter check it. This is plus 10 centimeter from the pole. Plus means the image formed is behind the mirror, which we already know that convex mirrors always form the image behind the mirror. Got it? Just calculate and counter check your answer with what I have told you, whether it comes to be plus 10 centimeter or not. You need to relate the sign conventions, otherwise your answer will be wrong. Next question. A 10 millimeter long pin is placed vertically in front of concave mirror. Right? This is our height of object, a 5 millimeter long image of the pin is formed. So this is the height of image given to us. It is formed at a distance of 30 centimeter in front of the mirror. Distance of image V is given to us 30 centimeter, and because it is in front, that means it is on the left hand side, so we will take it in minus. We have to calculate the focal length of this mirror. So first of all, I know the formula for magnification. The formula for magnification, according to that, we know that minus V upon U is equal to H dash upon H. The values of H dash, that is the height of image, H the height of object, V the image distance are given in the question. We just need to place them. We will find U, and once we get U, then simply we can apply the mirror formula. 1 by F is equal to 1 by V plus 1 by U. We will get the answer of F, which in this case will be minus 20 centimeter. Almost everything I have already told. Just put in the values and try to check that your answer comes out to be minus 20 or not. Just calculation part. Okay. Of course, you need to remember the sign conventions. Next question. A converging mirror gives virtual and enlarged image of the object. Now, whenever virtual image is formed in case of concave or converging mirror, it was only in the first case when the object was placed between P and F. So the object when placed between P and F will give us a virtual and enlarged image of the object, because in all the other cases, whether object is kept at infinity or between F and C or at focus, always real images will be formed. Virtual image is formed only in one case, when the object is kept between P and F in front of a concave mirror. You can refer to the table above that we have discussed. Right? Next question. When the rays of light diverging from a point after reflection either actually meet or appear to meet at some other point, then that point is called the image. It is not the shadow, it is not the reference point, it is the image. What is image? It is the point where the light rays, the diverging light rays, reflected light rays, after reflection they actually meet or appear to meet. So our answer is image. Correct? Next question. No matter how far you stand from a mirror, your image appears erect. So when we are talking about a mirror and it is always erect, obviously the image formed will be due to a convex mirror only. Right? If you are, no matter how far you are standing, this is important. Wherever you are standing, the image appears to be erect, so it has to be convex. Right? Next, when you stand in front of mirror, your image is always erect, of same size and laterally inverted. Now this lateral inversion and same size is the property of a plane mirror. Convex mirrors cannot find same size image. They will always form the diminished images. Concave, they form inverted as well as real images. So if it is always erect, same size and lateral inverted, it has to be plane mirror only. Got it? Next question. The image of an object in a spherical mirror appears magnified, erect and behind it. If it is magnified and behind, it may be convex and concave and plane all, but we are saying, sorry, it will be erect and behind. Then in that case, all the three are applicable. But since we are saying that it is a magnified image, now the magnified images cannot be formed by convex or plane. It has to be the concave mirror. So, coming back to the question, it has to be a concave mirror, because only concave mirror forms magnified images out of the three mirrors. Got it? Next question. A real inverted and larger than the object image is formed by a concave mirror, where is the object? Let us try to relate. Is it between infinity and C? No, because in case of infinity and C, the image formed is diminished. Between P and F? No, because the image formed will be magnified but behind. At F? No, because if the object is at F, image will be formed at infinity. So our correct answer is between C and F. Here, if we are just actually keeping the object, then a real, inverted and enlarged image of the object is formed. Clear? Next question. Which of the following can prepare a virtual image? Now, a convex mirror always forms a virtual image. A plane mirror always forms a virtual image. A concave mirror can also form a virtual image in the first case when the object was between P and F. So, all the three can form the virtual images. Our answer is all the above mirrors can produce a virtual image. Got it? Now, very important question. These type of questions are quite important. If the magnification produced by mirror is +1, what type of mirror it is? Now, whenever we are talking about magnification, the magnification is +1. We have to separately relate both the aspects. This plus means the image is erect. This 1 means this is the same size image, right? So erect and same size image will be formed only by plane mirror. If it would have been magnification -1, now 1 once again relates the same size image, but minus shows that it is inverted image. So if it is inverted image of same size, then in that case our answer would have been concave mirror. So we need to be very much cautious while reading the question, because here it is +1, our answer is plane mirror. Had it been -1, our answer would have been concave mirror. So both the questions you need to know. Got it? Next, the magnification produced by a plane mirror is +0.8. Right? It should not be plane mirror. It is just a mirror. The magnification is 0.8. Once again, magnification given to be +0.8. Relate both the aspects. Plus means the image is erect and 0.8 means the image is diminished. So erect and diminished image will be formed. Number one, maybe we could have been asked what is the type of mirror. So it would have been convex mirror. In this question, what he is asking is the image formed is. Now the image is erect but not of the same size. We'll cancel this option. The image is diminished but it is not inverted. We'll cancel out this option. The image is virtual, erect and diminished. This actually satisfies all the reasonings. Enlarged? No, it is not enlarged. So our correct answer is C. So this is what I have told you how to attempt it. You need to relate each and every word separately. Just don't jump to the conclusion. If you find virtual and erect, this is our correct answer. No, because the third word is enlarged. It is not an enlarged image. So this is what we need to focus. So these are a few questions which have come in the past few years from the NTSC exam point of view. They are very important, right? So go through this particular topic properly, thoroughly. If you have already done it, if you are able to attempt all these questions while I was discussing and you already knew the answers, very good. If not, please revise the topic, go through it again, and please make sure that now after revising you have already seen what type of questions will be asked, so you get yourself prepared for these type of questions. Got it? So I hope whatever was being discussed in today's class, you were able to understand it. And now, once again, as I always say, my role has been over now. As far as this topic is concerned, now it is your role. You have to work, you have to learn, you have to practice, and you have to make sure that this topic is now fully and thoroughly prepared by you. Got it? So keep learning, enjoy your time, enjoy your studies, and in the next session, we'll continue up with the next topic. Till then, take care of yourself. Have a great time. Thank you so much for being with me. Have fun.